Hello and welcome back to my channel, and thanks for rejoining me on my solo BX Dungeons and Dragons campaign. The characters were about to be appraised of the Barony, and we were going to use my Barony mechanic to generate the overall territory and the environs. However, I've decided that we still had some loose ends from the character creation process during the recruitment, and I didn't really want to effectively just basically bypass the barony mechanic, or maybe shortchange it by having it kind of merged into one of with our finishing off our recruitment, but really just to have it as a separate episode further down the line. So this is going to be the next episode now, and not this one. And this one I thought, well, I don't really just want just a kind of playback of just me rolling up stats of our new 3 characters. I think that would be a bit boring. I thought, well, why don't I do something different, something that will entertain myself and hopefully you too. And I've thought of using almost like an interactive mini game to kind of tease out the characters' abilities and attributes, and also their background story, and to try and make it feel as natural as possible in the environment of the Golden Griffin. Without further ado, I think I will just start. If you've been waiting for this Barony mechanic, it's coming the next episode. It's worth the wait because I think it's going to be quite good fun. But hopefully this will more than make up for the situation. So if we just start off with a bit of a preamble. So Golden Griffin Discoveries, that's what I've entitled it. It is the next day, and the characters are relaxing in the Golden Griffin. They are pleased with their prior day's work. 3 recruits and a place of mystery's location discovered to boot. They feel a need to celebrate with a few beers, much wine, and some good food. All is very jolly in the Golden Griffin, and the lute player has amped up the sound level to create an upbeat and entertaining atmosphere. They are even more pleased to have, over the course of the evening, the other new party's members join them. Serafina sees them and is thankful of having some company to rescue her from the unwanted attention of a few of the local young men. Arisa and later Alden come across from their inns and taverns, and we are all introduced to each other. So we're all happy campers. We've now got the band of 7. This is the largest party I've got in any of my campaigns. You're probably saying, Brian, how are you going to, it's going to be a logistical nightmare. Well, I laugh at these challenges. I'm going to see how I get on. It's probably trying to work out all the different colours. So I know we've got Yorick as the grey. We've got Tamsin as the purple. We've got Quinn as green and Hob as orange. And Arisa we decided was going to be azure. Light green was going to be Serafina, and Alden was going to be rather uncharacteristically white for a thief. But hey, let's just go with that just now. So the next stage is called Drinking Games and Tavern Entertainments. Well, hey, this sounds like fun. The characters like the idea of having a few competitions with their new colleagues and getting the opportunity to find out much more about them. Borin on the go here. Borin looks delighted and sees profit, although he warns that they must pay for any breakages. He laughs a hearty laugh. These young adventurer types, haha. So, the next instruction is get the character worksheet out. So we're going to bring the character worksheet out and put it to the test. And I've already pre-populated this. So some of the details are pre-populated, and a few of the statistics are weighted. but we need a mechanism to complete the missing gaps and potentially find out some interesting details and information about our new friends. So the first game that we're going to play is arm wrestling. So arm wrestling. Let's get the missing character's strength determined by rolling 1d4 and using the modifier below. So just before I do that, I'll just give you a quick appraisal of the worksheet and the details that we have in already. So obviously we know their names, we know their class and their sex, because this is all part of the recruitment process, and also the fact that they had their alignment, their origins, and their archetype. And these were all inputs into our calculation of just exactly how they reacted to our job offers, also just I suppose just parameters that we could also appraise whether they were suitable as a fit for our party. And we've decided they were all top-notch candidates, and we're just looking forward to kind of topping and tailing this process with some statistics and their abilities. And it might be quite interesting to find out what their backstory is too. So this is a kind of win-win for everybody involved. It's kind of getting to know each other session. For first, we're going to start off with an arm wrestling contest, and this is designed so that I can populate the strength. So we roll a 1d4 and use the modifiers below. The special being that Arisa rolls 1d3 plus 1, and Alden is a d3. So Arisa, I am saying I'm going to weight her to be a bit more, more weighting to be stronger. And she's a fighter. I would expect her to be stronger. And most of these tables I've got are the 1d4 tables, and I have different terms of success determining what the character's ability is. So it'll be quite straightforward when we get cracking on this. So let's get our pawns ready. See if I can get them up. So we've got Arisa, she's Azure. We've got light green for Seraphina, it's not easy to say, Sarah, and white for Alden. So, and we're going to need a D4. So unfortunately, I've got to use my D4 a lot, but we're probably going to use a D6 as well. So the first thing we do is we work out. And we'll have the other characters, they're all involved in this too. They're doing arm limbering up exercises. But as I say, we know what our characters' abilities are. We don't need to test it. We're just really trying to find out how these individuals do. So let's go with Arisa first, and she needs a D3 plus 1. So that is going to be a D6 divided by 2 plus 1. So we take out my D4 first. So let's see what Arisa's strength is. So she gets a 2 plus 1 is 3. So on the resolution, 3 is the character is winning most of the time, strength 15 to 16. So we'll calculate exactly what it is. 15, 1 to 3. No, she has a strength of 16, so that's a good start for Arisa. So she's winning most of them. They're saying, oh, Arisa, she's strong. We would expect that, fighter. We've got Alden. He's a D3. So he might not be quite as impressive, but you never know. He might. So he isn't as impressive. He gets effectively a 1. The character is beaten a few times. Strength is only at 9 to 12. So let's find exactly out what his strength is. I'm using a D4 because that's the range. So we get a 1, so his strength is only 9. So he doesn't really do too well in this competition. He's feeling a bit embarrassed. He says, well, wait till we come to some of the later games. I'll show them. And then we've just got a D4 for Seraphina. And I've just decided that I know this is her prerequisite, but I think I'll just go with chance with this because I do bias her with lots of things for other categories. So let's just see what we get. Oh, we get a 4. Oh my goodness. A 4. What does a 4? What does a 4 mean for Seraphina? Seraphina, The character dominates proceedings. Whoa, strength of 17 to 18. My goodness. So this lithe, slim, elegant elf is really packs a punch when it comes to strength. So let's find out exactly what strength we're talking about. So we've got a 17 strength. So yeah. So she says, yeah. Take that, Arisa. That'll put you back in your box. You thought you were the best. I think out of interest, let's find out what our other characters have got for strength. I think we've got Yorick, his strength of, well, his strength is of 18, so he's top. So we're really expecting him to have a very good head-to-head with Seraphina. Hobbs' strength of 13, Tamsin 7. So Tamsin is getting, the floor is getting wiped, and Quinn isn't very good. She's a 10, so she's probably holding her own, Quinn, but nothing special. So Seraphina, she is obviously the winner of the first bout. So we move on to, we want to try and find out the character's intelligence next. So we'll have some intensive games of riddles and memorization, which are used to ascertain intelligence. So let's have a look at the little table for that. And we have the special, Arisa rolls a D3 -1, so she's not really expecting to be the sharpest pencil in the pack. Alden is D3, and Seraphina is a D3 +1, so she's getting a bit of a weighting there. So let's find out how clever Arisa is. She gets a D3 -1, so a bit of a penalty there for Arisa. She gets just, well, D3, so that's 3, -1 is a 2. So the character does well and guesses more than most. Intelligence 13 to 14. So well done, Arisa. She has an intelligence of 13. Good for her. Right, Alden. He has 1d3. So work out what his. See how quick-witted he gets these riddles done. See whether yes, he does. He gets a 3. So the character has played these games before, so he knows these riddles. What's he going to get? He has an intelligence of 15. Very good. So that's a nice one from Alden. He's a bit of a riddle master. So stepping up to the plate is a Seraphina, and Seraphina gets a D3 +1. So we'd be expecting her to get a good score here. So let's find out what she gets. She gets a 2 +1 is a 3. So again, the character has played these games before. She will have an intelligence of 15 to 16. So what's it going to be? Yes, she has an intelligence of 16, which we would expect. So she's doing really well on our prerequisites of strength and intelligence because she is a combination class. If it had been an 17 or 18, the character knows every single riddle. And they can do all these memorization games. They can probably do about 1,000 digits after pi, or that type of thing. It's that kind of level of intelligence. So we move on to wisdom. Wisdom is rolled per the sheet when reached in the sequence. Okay. So I've got a little note here of what we're going to have for wisdom. So it just the old-fashioned 3d6 for Arisa. So she's just going to have to take her chances. So let's see what she gets. She does surprisingly well. She gets a 12 for wisdom. So she's being a bit of an all-rounder just now. So take that one out. Alden, he gets a 3d6. So let's find out what he gets. He gets, that's an 8. So he's not too perceptive, maybe, too worldly wise. And Seraphina, she gets 2d6 +6, so she gets a bit of a boost. So let's see how wise she is. So she gets 8 +6 is 14. So that paid off, that little boost. So she is doing really well on the score so far. So is she going to maintain her lead? The rest of the characters are very impressed, and obviously they're getting involved in this too. They're trying to work out what their wisdom is and pitching it against these characters. And I think in terms of these characters, I think Hob does not stand a chance, because I think from memory, Hob has got a wisdom of a pretty deplorable wisdom of what has Hob got? He's got intelligence of 7 and a wisdom of 6. So he's way down. He's just got this amazing innovation of natural ability with his mechanisms, but it doesn't really translate into raw characteristics. Yorick's not really great. He's just average wisdom. The real diamond in the coals is Tamsin. She's got an intelligence of 16. So she has got she's got intelligence 16. She has a wisdom of 9. So the highest in comparison would be Quinn with a wisdom of 13. So even Seraphina beats our cleric. So she's doing really well. Let's move on to Dexterity and see how we get on with this. So there's a couple of games that test Dexterity, such as coin stacking and catching a coin with the palm facing down. So this is where you have your palm facing down. Someone drops the coin, you've got to turn it around and grab the coin very quickly. So it's a test of manual dexterity, and also stacking up coins and doing that thing, a bit kind of like a Jenga thing in reverse, where you've got to create a tower, and people are going, you get all that kind of noise round about, and you've got to use your dexterity to do that. So that's all going on here. So let's see how the new characters perform with Alden using a D3 + 1. So that's the only modification we're going to have for this. So Arisa, she is in the lap of the gods here. We've got 3d6 for Arisa, and it would be quite nice for her to get a good dexterity. So she hasn't. She's got, it had to fall down somewhere, so that's 7. So her dexterity is a bit deplorable. Alden's on the D3 + 1. Oh, sorry. Yes. No, I should have been. I'm going back to that was a bit silly. I'm going back to the rolling of statistics. I don't need to do that on here because I've got my little chart. So let's scrap it for Arisa. We're just using the D4. Got to get back into control. D4 for Arisa. Get back on with the program, Brian. She gets a 4. So the character knows every one of these tricks. She is fantastic. She has a dexterity of 17 to 18. So what's it going to be? What's it going to be for Arisa? She gets an 18 dexterity. Look at that. There you go, a natural 18. So she is doing really well as a fighter. We are absolutely delighted with the selection process we're going. I tell you, our recruitment process is fantastic. We get a job in any HR department. We've got Alden, and he has a D3 + 1. So let's see, he's expected to have a good dexterity. So, that's not too great. So that's a 1 + 1 is 2. So at least he gets a 2. The character performs competently, dexterity 13 to 14. So let's hope he gets on the high side here. Yes, he does. So he gets a dexterity of 14. So that's okay. Not maybe fantastic for a thief, but okay. And Seraphina, she has got no bonuses. She just has a D4. So let's see if she's continuing with this amazing raising a roll. She gets a 3, which isn't too shabby, I don't think. The characters have played these games before as well. Dexterity 15 to 16. So let's find out what Seraphina's got. She's got 15 dexterity. So a very strong set of characteristics just now. It's almost like a super elf, according to the other characters. Constitution, so our old favourite. So we're asking the question, what is their tolerance to drink? So let's find out the character's constitution with a drinking game. Of course, what is more appropriate in a tavern than a drinking game? And Seraphina says, she's a bit sarcastic. She says, "Do I look like a dwarf?" And then they kind of cajole her around a bit, and she says, "Okay, I'll give it a try." And then a bit after a couple of drinks, she says, "I can feel my fingers tingle." So maybe that's a premonition of just exactly what she's going to be like in this. Arisa says, make mine a double, and she's completely up for this. And Alden says, this is definitely going to hurt in the morning. He's got a trepidation to this. And really, it's just a case of just rolling a D4 and see how we get on. So, yeah, let's do it. The D4. So we'll start with Arisa first. The D4, I do not have any modifiers for this, so let's just give it a shot and see what happens. So she's on a 1. So the character starts to feel a little fragile and can't keep up. So she's probably comatose after our first double. So she's on a 9 to 12 constitution. So let's do a 1. So she's only got a constitution of 9. So that's a bit disappointing for Arisa. So she flakes out a bit. She can't really take her drink. Alden, who has been a bit apprehensive about the whole thing, he's not too happy, but let's see how he gets on. Oh, he gets a 3. So his constitution is, the character is a natural drinker and comes out on top. So he doesn't really need to have anything to worry about. He was a bit of a star. So let's see how much of a star he is. Yeah, he is a 16 constitution. So that's a good result for Alden. Good old Alden. Everybody's cheering him on. And Seraphina, let's see whether her toes tingle as well as her fingers. Let's see what she gets. She gets a 3 too. Oh, she can really take the stuff. She is turning into super character. The character is a natural drinker and comes out on top. Constitution 15 to 16. So what's it going to be? What's it going to be? This is embarrassing. She's so good. 16. Yeah, constitution of 16. So it could have been that the character makes a competent show and only falters at the last round, which is 2. Or if the character had got a 4, the character smashes it and drinks everyone, including Old Hemlock, under the table. So they're all having a lot of fun here. It's all becoming a bit debauched and a bit out of control and crazy. So they feel that they've really got to kind of bring it down to earth a bit. We've only got one other characteristic to do, and that's charisma. And again, I've got a bit of a bump for Seraphina too, because we did say at the start that she's good. She's a charmer. She's going to have a minimum of 13 anyhow. So I've got to really just kind of load it that way. And we did say that she was a beautiful elf. So you know, it's everything. All the indicators are pointing in the right direction. The other 2, I'm afraid we're just going to have to go with the 3d6. So let's go with Arisa. They might surprise us. Arisa, look at Arisa. Magnetic. She is magnetic. She has a 16 charisma. I think we've now got our leader. The only downside I have is when I was portraying her character, I was almost like having a bit of a kind of hot-headed individual that maybe wasn't too bright. However, I've turned out I've got a really quite a sharp fighter. It's strong and charismatic. I think Arisa could be touting for business as the leader. Maybe not on the first adventure, but certainly further down the line. But certainly we've got a lot of strong, independent women in this party. They're almost dominating it, and the men are just beta males. So let's see whether they can get up to the alpha status that they really need to be to rise in this outfit. Let's have Alden then. He might have a bit of a secret charisma. I suppose as a thief and whatever, he wants to kind of stay nondescript, so he's not really too bothered either way. So he's okay. He's 9, 11. Yep, that's okay. We can live with that. 11. He says, I don't really want to be prominent. You know, that's my whole style. That's where... and then we've got Seraphina. So is she going to smash it this time? Let's see. What do you think? Viewers at home, what do you think Seraphina will get? She gets a 2, so that's okay. She knocks half the party over, but she gets a 2. So a 2 plus 12 is 14. So a very competent 14. She's a very attractive elf enchantress, charismatic. She's got the charmer archetype. She exudes all that charisma. So the last thing I've got is for hit points. Make a quick calculation following the guidelines, and that completes the attributes phase. So Arisa on hit points will be a die 8, and 8 out. And I'll quickly compare, just check the notes on what we do on hit points. And I'm sure it's D8 for that. There's a little section. And elves are, they have hit points of, where is the hit points? I thought the hit points were in this little section all of their own. Here we go, hit points. There's not a nice little summary, is there? I think die 8 and constitution of 9, so no bonus. So if I roll a 1 or a 2, we get to go again. So a 7, that's good enough for me. A d6 for Alden as a thief. 2, his constitution is 16, so 16 gives him +2, so he's on 4. And I think from memory, I'm trying to see what elves do get. I'm sure they get, yeah, elves use a 6-sided dice to determine their hit points. So 6, and her constitution is 16, so she's going to get a +2 as well. So let's see what Seraphina gets. So she gets a 1. So she gets to roll that again, because it's a 1 or a 2, you can roll it again. So let's do that. Oh, so it's 1 again, so she gets 3. So she's a bit fragile when it comes to hit points. Maybe she's going to have a lot of armor to kind of give her a high armor class so she doesn't face the consequences of her low hit points. Okay, so that's all the statistics rolled up. We can move on to the next phase. So the next phase is called character backstories. So after they exhaust their repertoire of games, they settle down to more contemplative activities, and we find out in turn some interesting discoveries about the characters' backstories. Okay, so this is good. So we're huddling around in our little group. We're regaling little stories about each other. We're finding out about interesting things. We're well lubricated. We've had a lot of beer, a lot of wine. We're well fed. It's turning into a very nice afternoon, moving into the evening. It's starting to maybe get a bit on the darker side outside. People are feeling quite cozy. So we kick off. In fact, I thought I'd just give a nice little recap of our individual characters. And we'd have Yorick first. So we've got Yorick, and he says, I've chosen the path of protector of our lawful ideal, and dedicated my life to seeking glory and renown in its name. I was betrayed in this pursuit, and seek new friends and allies in my task. So kind of short and sweet, a bit like Yorick. He's to the point, quite direct. He's not got very much to say. That's the end of his tale. No real kind of anecdotes, and everyone goes, yes, well done, Yorick. I was, got it out of your system. It was nice that you say that you are seeking new friends and allies, and obviously we are those people. And then Hobbs steps up to the plate and he says, like most halflings, my story is a simple one. I seek the means to build a fine burrow and feel the warm blanket of wealth and security, fine food and rich beverages. In this task, I've sworn an oath to the gods of plenty and good living. Ha 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 ha. Also, have I mentioned I love gadgets, and it has been commented by many that I have a natural way with mechanisms. So everyone goes, well, that's very interesting, Hob. Nice little backstory. Well done. Quinn's next up on the plate. She says, my tale is sad and long, but in summary, and to avoid making our evening darken prematurely, I have had tragic experiences in my past that I wish to banish from my mind, and I've chosen the way of the Nature Mother to atone and receive redemption and absolution. I have sworn a sacred oath to serve this sect, and by rising in our eyes, obtain inner peace. So everyone's crying by this stage. The tears are welling up on our cheeks. You know, this is a very sad tale. You know, she said she was summarizing it, but she does spend about an hour going on about all our trials and tribulations and terrible childhood that she had. We really feel quite emotionally drained by the end of it. So we're hoping that Tamsin will come up and rescue us with a tale, an uplifting tale. However, her tale is a bit of a mixed one. She says, I've travelled from my land to seek out secret knowledge and sworn my life to the attainment of magical powers and excellence, so that I may return one day and avenge past wrongs. Ooh, it's all getting clouds are starting to gather round Tamsin. My ingenious escape from my master's stronghold was a great victory, but it came at the cost of banishment from my homeland. Whoa, this is probably the most exciting one. So on the scale of 1 to 10, Tamsin gets it on excitement. I think for, you know, just heart-wrenching grief and agony, you know, Quinn is, you know, for uplifting warmth and whatever, it's Hob. And for just plain straight talking, it's Yorick. So we get all our little backstories, and that was quite a useful little exercise for me to summarize. So the new characters, they are going to relate their stories, and we determine their motivations and defining events in light of their archetypes. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So let's get our little character sheet out again, character worksheet. And we'll get our folder. So we know for Arisa, let's take Arisa first. She is an archetype of protector. And what protector means in our terms as an archetype is, a protector is, he's driven by an unwavering loyalty to a person, a place, or an ideal. They put themselves in harm's way to defend what they cherish, often acting as a shield for the weak. So let's find out whether it's a person, a place, or did we actually check that last time? Let's just have a, yeah, it's a place. So she has got a protector and it was a place. So we'd already determined that. So we've got all that done. Let's move on to core motivation. And core motivation is this drives the character above everything. If this conflicts with the archetype, select 2 other appropriate examples and randomly determine. So we roll a d6 for core motivation. So let's find out what Arisa's core motivation is. She has a 2, which is justice, righting wrong. Well, that sounds pretty up protector's street. To correct injustices, protect the innocent, or avenge past grievances. So what's it going to be? Probably 1 and 2 are probably quite similar, and I think avenge past grievances is quite different. So let's just do the 3 option split. So she has got a 6, so that is avenge past grievances again. So she's a bit like Tamsin. She has got a motivation of 2, which is justice, righting wrong, and she is grievance. So she's just the same as Tamsin, so I'd have to come up with a bit of a story on that. And what's her defining event? And so this would be a significant event in their past that shaped who they are. If this conflicts with the prior selections, choose 2 other appropriate examples and randomly determine. Okay, so let's roll a d8 for that and find out what the story is on Arisa. So we have a 1, survived a catastrophe. They were the sole survivor of a plague, a battle, a natural disaster, or a magical event that destroyed their home and family. My goodness, what is it going to be? What was the natural disaster? And it's begging a d4 for this. So let's find out what we get on the d4 scale. It's a 2. So what was the natural catastrophe? It was a battle. She survived a battle. That sounds, so some titanic battle that she was involved in. So that is absolutely on point with her her character, with her class, her archetype, alignment probably, her background from the kingdom. You know, this is all really coming up the way you'd want it. So I think we've got enough on Arisa. I think we can move on to Alden. Now he is a thief. His archetype was rogue, which was quite appropriate, and that was just done. I think just selected almost randomly. And a rogue is, you probably realize what a rogue is, but I'll just remind you. Resourceful, independent, and perhaps morally ambiguous. Good at getting things done through unconventional means. They excel at stealth, trickery, and finding hidden advantages. So a perfect archetype for our thief. Let's see whether they have a core motivation that matches that. So we'll do the D6 on that. We have a 1. So glory and renown. To be remembered, to achieve legendary status, or to simply be acknowledged for their deeds. Well, I think that's quite appropriate too, because he just wants to be the best thief ever, and be renowned. Maybe have a reputation as a grand master thief. Maybe a sinister reputation. It's almost like a godfather type figure. Maybe he just really wants to get to the top of the thief world. So glory and renowned, I'd say, is, yep, glory and renown. Absolutely. So, yes, to be acknowledged for their deeds. And let's see what his defining event is in his life. We roll a d8. Maybe this might give a pointer to why he has gone down this route of thievery. 4. Suffered a profound betrayal. So I think that was Yorick as well. They were betrayed by someone they trusted deeply, leading to a loss of innocence or deep-seated caution. Oh no, so this sounds very sad too, doesn't it? So that is a betrayal. 4, betrayal. So Arisa's got the classic fighter syndrome. Alden's got probably quite a reasonable backstory that you would expect maybe for a thief, an ambitious young thief that wants to make it to the top, be the top rat in the pile. And we've got our elf, our elf lady Seraphina. What is Lady Seraphina? She's a charmer. Now, a charmer, I'll just remind you of what a charmer is. This is the same as Tamsin, who is in our party and is currently the joint leader. Charmer, they possess exceptional social grace, wit, and charisma. They can influence others, gather information, and navigate complex social situations with ease, often preferring words to weapons. Okay, so she's got the ability of using words and weapons. She is a multi-class character. So let's see what her core motivation is, and we'll roll the d6. Is she going to be quite a complex elf? She's a 1, so she wants glory and renown too. So I think that we're allowed that too. She wants glory. And with those statistics, with those abilities, I think she's well on her way. She's just got to be a bit careful when it comes to getting into combat and guarding her hit points. But yeah, so glory and renowned, yes, rah, she can do that. And a d8 for the defining event. She gets a 4. Suffered a profound betrayal as well. Oh my goodness, is everything the same? Yeah, this is a betrayal. So there's a common theme here. We've got betrayals everywhere. 2 betrayals here, and I'm sure one of my other characters, one of the original 4, is a betrayal. So I think we've done enough. We can read enough into that. What I'll do with these characters, I'll maybe just put them into like a little synopsis that I did for the previous ones, because I thought, they're quite nice little summaries of just what the character would say. It's a bit like what I'm doing for my Homes Basic is I've got these things called profiles, which basically combines almost like some of the things that I'm doing here. Instead of having 3 die rolls, I've almost got like 1 combined, and I call it a profile. And that is like almost like a trope type character that you would have in fantasy. And they've already got a kind of pre-cooked backstory as well. And I'm kind of generating one here. But these little storyboards here are almost like little mini profiles, tailored to that individual. I quite like both approaches. I think the profile one's really strong on just getting a quick result, and suddenly you can visualize something. This one's quite more nuanced, and you can actually build up a bit more layering of the character. And I think that's this kind of style I want with the BX one. I want it to be quite a bit more. I hate the word sophisticated, but something a bit more gravitas about it. Whereas the Homes Basic one, I'm quite happy just going with something that is fun and is enjoyable to play with, and understandable. We don't have to kind of rest with, you know, these terrible backgrounds and what is the betrayal that Seraphina's got. Okay, we're not going to do money because money is all accounted for in the Golden Griffin. We had this explanation that we get this adventurous credit that gets given to us. So all these characters will be on the same thing. I think Arisa is going to move from the Shadowed Helm over to the Golden Griffin to join our party, and definitely Alden is going to get out of that drunken dragon. I don't know why he's ended up in such a dive. Maybe he was so down and out. Maybe we can give him a bit of an advance, a bit of a help. He said, "Look, I really was quite poor, and that's why I had to kind of hold my nose and stay there. But I'm really happy to join you guys here. It seems much nicer." Okay. So this completes our character development steps, and we are now back to the tavern comings and goings. So I think we can do a roll here, because activation of adventure points. So that evening, as the characters finish relating their stories and they all feel they have gotten to know each other much better, some of the adventure points are in need of updating. Okay, Brian, let's do it. Roll a d3 and follow these instructions. Okay, we'll do. So let's roll a d3 and see what happens. So we get a 2. So one would have been, before we look at it, one would have been Cassandra's star child. So that was our bit of a shady magic user that's got a bit of a strange backstory. We haven't really got a relationship with her yet. She was a bit cagey. She is fleeing from this shadow society that's after her because she stole something that they want, and she's pretending to the world that she didn't. She's paranoid. So she's actually looks as though she wants to approach the party now and tell her story. She believes she has seen assailants and fears for her safety and is looking for protection. So that's not going to happen at this stage. So we can do it. We can discount that. Let's not go to 2 first. Let's go to 3. Riash, oh no, it's him, has a rendezvous with a couple of sinister-looking individuals and then approach Cassandra to volunteer assistance. Oh no, the rogue. Oh, Riash. Remember Riash Braveheart, our chaotic fighter, the one that we had a bit of a run-in with in the Shadowed Helm. We've now got an enmity category, red alert for Riash. He is skulking around in the Golden Griffin. He's come over. What does he know about Cassandra? But we're going to go for option 2, which is Riash. No, it's him again. He's popped up, appears in the tavern, glances over at us. Oh, the cheek of him. Waves and smiles. Oh, then approaches Cassandra and offers his help. What is going on here? So the characters are in stunned silence. A few of the characters don't really know what we're talking about. I think we asked Arisa, we said, have you got a relationship with this? You were in the Shadowed Helm. You were spending a bit of time, potentially with this Riash. We didn't really take to the fellow. We didn't have very much in common. He seemed to be quite of his own man. And she said, I didn't really have much to do with him. We didn't really seem to hit it off either. I had a bad feeling about him. He seems to have associates with rather darker individuals that seem to be more kind of the cowled like look about them. The pale complexion. I really wasn't too happy with the clientele that he was with. As I said, I didn't really have too much time to observe this. We almost like it was day and night. He was active when I wasn't. That's all I really got to tell. So I'm not going to do anything on this. I'm just going to plant this happening in the Golden Griffin to almost like disrupt the calm, the peace and the enjoyment that our characters are having. A bit of an ink in the ointment. A fly in the ointment. we've got a bit, maybe a potential issue. You know, Cassandra, is she the innocent damsel in distress, or is she a manipulator? You know, we don't really know about Cassandra. However, we do know that Riash is a predator. He's always maybe on the look for opportunity. What does he know about Cassandra? What has he heard? Is he after that stone that she's carrying? We just don't know. So this is all the things that we can maybe mull over in our mind as we move on. And this is my segue to Barony creation. So we've done the process where we have created all these. I will do the business on this now that I have captured the hard information. I didn't think it was, you know, part of my channel's philosophy is to have everything visible, everything transparent. And I think you know, almost like you feel you're going along on my journey with playing these characters. So I didn't think it was maybe fair of me just going away and just rolling this stuff up. And I thought, well, let's try to make it into a bit of a mini game and almost like have a dedicated episode to this. And I think as the byproduct, you've been able to see how these three characters, instead of just me putting them on the table in front of you, and you've had this initial view of what they were like. You have much more of an insight into what these individuals are like now, and just how they're going to fit into the party. And like, you know, for me, that's been a real benefit. I can really see how Serafina might fit in, Alden and Arisa, and they've got the personalities that are starting to form in my head. So that was the reason that I kind of did that, and I hope you will indulge me in that and see it as a beneficial thing. And it just means that I've delayed my Barony creation to next episode. So Old Hemlock has taken on a more sober demeanour. My goodness, what's going on? Will wonders ever cease? This evening, and imparts his quite considerable knowledge of the region as a means of illustrating where the places of mystery are. Okay, so we've got the aid of Old Hemlock, thank you very much. And he seems to have sobered up a bit, got his act together. And now that we've got him worked out, and he's worked us out, we're on a far more business-like arrangement terms. It's none of this buffoonery going on. He is actually in company of a new NPC. This is the Lore Master, Erithiel. She is now in residence. All right, okay. And is the only too pleased to wax lyrical on the Barony and its environs for the offer of a few glasses of fine wine. So she likes her wine, she likes to talk, she likes the company, and she's nothing better that she likes to do than talk about the Barony, its environs, its places of mystery, it's all its secrets and history. So we're going to use these two NPCs to help with the deployment of the interactive Barony design mechanic, which we will be using to create our high fantasy frontier location bordering a mysterious wilderness. So that is definitely what we're going to be doing in the next episode. We've got all our character stuff out of the way. I'll just generate the character sheets. So, you know, job done on that. Thank you very much for contributing with me on that, and I'm very much looking forward to showing you this interactive design I've got with my two faithful colleagues, Old Hemlock, the now sobered up storyteller and town elder, and the interesting new NPC, the Lore Master Erithiel. You know, she is, what is she like? Is she going to be charismatic, or is she going to be a bit boring? I think she has to come down on the charismatic side. I think she has to enrapture us with this information about the Barony. And who knows, she might even go on and start talking about the concept and the multiverse and all that good stuff. My goodness, yes, yeah. Let's wait and see. You know, let's walk before we run. Okay, I think I've done my episode so far today. I think I've reached the end of the story in the Golden Griffin today. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.